Part design is the most important method for creating 3D models in Alibre Design. It's the initial step in any project, and it's also where you'll spend the most time. Remember that part design is the process of creating a single component, like an engine's piston or a bolt. I have a part open that I previously created. The work area is where the 3D model is displayed. Controlling your view, as I'm doing now, is a fundamental task that you need to master. Notice that I can view this part from any angle and at any magnification. Be aware that in part workspaces, models have a fixed position in space. Changing the view is equivalent to moving a camera relative to the part, rather than moving the part itself. To rotate the view, like this, with your cursor in the work area, hold down both mouse buttons and move the mouse. To pan the view, as I'm doing now, use the same mouse technique while also holding down the Shift key on the keyboard. And note that you can easily switch between rotating and panning by alternatively pressing or releasing the Shift key. The mouse wheel lets you zoom in and out, and press the Home key on the keyboard to restore a full view of the design. Now let's cover part design itself. It's a straightforward task when you keep the basic steps in mind. Part design involves a two-step process that you'll repeat as needed to create any type of part, whether simple or complex. The process is, first, draw a two-dimensional sketch, and second, create a 3D feature from that sketch. Sketches are line drawings made up of rectangles, circles, splines, and other two-dimensional figures. You make 3D features from 2D sketches by extruding or revolving them, among other methods, to create boxes, cylinders, cones, and so on. The part workspace is organized around that two-step process. The sketching toolbar and part modeling toolbar are located on the right side of the workspace and are arranged in left to right order, corresponding to the sequence that you use them. Remember that the sketches and features you create are recorded in the Design Explorer. I'll create a simple part to illustrate the process. From the Home window, I click on the picture that represents the part workspace. In this example, I'll create a simple bolt using two sketches and two features. I'll create the head of the bolt first, so to begin, I'll click on the Activate 2D Sketch tool on the Sketching toolbar. It's critical to understand that you must be in sketch mode in order to create sketch figures like lines, circles, and rectangles. Sketch mode is off by default and must be activated. While you're in sketch mode, the button will appear pressed down, as it does now. Sketches are confined to a single plane, and as a result, I have to choose a plane to sketch on. I'll click on the edge of the XY plane in order to select it. A sketch will typically correspond to a cross-section, elevation view, or overhead view of a part. The initial sketch will be a hexagon, and I can use the polygon tool to make it. It's available on this menu, called a flyout, on the sketching toolbar. I'll click on it, and then I'll move the cursor over the origin, and then left-click and release to create the center of the polygon. Now as I move the mouse, I'm controlling the size of the polygon, and I'll left-click again when I'm satisfied. The polygon is not finished yet. It's shown as a preview until I go into the dialog box and click Apply, and then Close. To make a 3D feature from this sketch, I'll click on the Extrude Boss tool located on the Part Modeling toolbar. In the Extrude Boss dialog, I'll enter a value of 1/2 inch for the depth, and then click OK to create the extrusion. And now we have a head for the bolt. Be aware that by creating the extrusion, I was automatically taken out of sketch mode. Notice the appearance of the Activate 2D Sketch button. The next step is to create the shaft using another sketch and feature. I need to activate sketch mode again by clicking on Activate 2D Sketch, and this time I'll select the YZ plane by clicking on its edge. I'll use a rectangle to create the shaft. The rectangle tool is on the same flyout menu as the polygon tool. Once activated, I position the cursor over the origin and left-click and release to create the first corner. Now as I drag the mouse, I'm controlling the rectangle size. And then I left-click once again to create the opposite corner. I'm going to revolve this rectangle around one of its sides to turn it into a cylinder. To do this, I use the Revolve Boss tool on the Part Modeling toolbar. In the dialog box, I'll click in the entry box labeled Axis. And then I'll select the rectangle's edge that coincides with the bolt's center by clicking on it. You can see a preview of the feature, and I'll click OK to complete it. As you can see, I've created a very simple bolt using 2 sketches and 2 features. Before we conclude, let's take another look at the Design Explorer. Notice that the sketches and features I created for this part are listed under the Features item. They're in chronological order, with the first feature at the top and the most recent at the bottom.